women empowerment through business. She has started many businesses, including a coffee chain, a Filipino quick service restaurant, a farm-to-table restaurant, and a natural and organic store called Echo Store. She also co-founded Great Women Showroom and Cafe, an initiative that supports micro and small women entrepreneurs to gain commercial market access. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Pasita Juan.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're still around. There is some news that the raffle is actually going to happen, so you better stay. So as a fitting culminating activity of our conference program, we have a very dynamic and insightful panel to discuss things about women leadership, featuring some of the country's most exceptional women leaders in retail. So, that's me pala. I thought it was their logo. Anyway, we highly encourage you to join our panel discussion by sending your questions via text message to 0917-538-9971. This is available for all Smart, Globe, TNT, TM, and Sun subscribers. Regular cell-to-cell charge rates apply. So let's now welcome our panelists, our leading women entrepreneurs and retailers. Our first panelist is a true Filipina leader who was recently named one of the 2018 Forbes Asia Emergent 25, the women making their mark in Asia's enterprises. In fact, the only Filipina on that list. She has over 18 years of work experience in managing and operating Wilcon Depot and handled different positions from being an IT department head, depot manager, to chief financial officer, among others. Through her passion and commitment to make the company a trailblazer in the retail industry, she's been executing strategies to improve brand identity and develop long-term customer relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Wilcon Depot's President and CEO, Ms. Lorraine Bello Singkuchan. Our second panelist won her company several awards, including the ASEAN Business Award for Excellence in Healthcare at the ASEAN Business Summit 2016 and the 2017 Outstanding Filipino Franchise and Best in Corporate Social Responsibility Program. This outstanding ASEAN woman entrepreneur is also a University of the Philippines Distinguished Alumna for Entrepreneurship 2017 and a Certified Franchise Executive Graduate, a mini MBA in franchising obtained from the Asian Institute of Management. She recently shared her expertise at the World Trade Organization Public Forum on leveling up MSMEs and provides mentoring programs to other Filipino micro-entrepreneurs. Please welcome the CEO of Oraispa Incorporated, Cheryl Ramos Quintana. Adding up to our panelists is the CEO of DMart Beauty and Derm Asia Corporations, which she built through determination, hard work, and the courage to tap into the market of anti-aging in the Philippines. Being exposed to entrepreneurship at a young age, she used her love for beauty to establish companies with dynamic, forward-thinking teams fueled by positive cultural development. As a beautypreneur, that's a new word, she does not only provide beauty solutions to Filipinos and distribute dermal cosmetics and aesthetic devices, but also pursues in helping people achieve their beauty goals by working hand in hand with medical professionals. Everyone, a round of applause for Ms. Nikki Tan. writes and speaks internationally on these topics. She's a co-founder of the pioneering and multi-awarded retail store and social enterprise called Echo Store, shameful plug, which has been named as one of the top 50 women-led businesses in APEC and ASEAN regions, and the Ian Group, an internationally awarded marketing communications firm. She's also a prime mover of the innovative advocacy-driven marketing platform called Great Women, a multi-sectoral inclusive business platform in the ASEAN region. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Jeannie Havelosa. Our next panelist may be known as the daughter of a tycoon and former Senate president, but this woman is making her own mark in the retail industry. She took up the retail side of the family business in 2014 after obtaining her master's in business administration at the Instituto de Estudios Superiores de la Empresa, wow, did I say that right? Business School in Barcelona, Spain. She's managing various roles in the family-run retail business as Managing Director of Vistaland Commercial Division, EVP of Star Malls, President of All Value, the newly incorporated holding company for the Milliard Group of businesses named, of course, All Home, All Day Convenience Store, The Coffee Project, and Fines. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it for Miss Camille Villar. So there you have it, friends, our interesting group of women leaders who are ready to share with us some of their most guarded secrets. And once again, we encourage you to join in our panel discussion while I join them here on stage. You know the numbers, but for right now, we're going to listen to what each one has. You know, we were talking backstage, and you said that, why is ours the final panel? Aside from the raffle, I know that women leadership has always been talked about a lot in the country, and more specifically now in retail, and we're so blessed to have this wonderful panel from a diverse mix, I would say. So we've got from the construction, Wilcon Depot, we've got, of course, beauty care, cosmetics and health, and organic, natural, and sustainable products, as well as sourced from gender initiatives. And finally, of course, Camille wrapping up everything from convenience stores to supermarkets. But really, ladies, what is it about women that makes everyone think if it's a purchase decision, it's got to be a woman? Even in construction, Lorraine, would you say even in construction, women have the last say?
Yes, actually there are a lot of our customers where it's the woman who makes the decision. I'm not sure if you know this or if you have personal experience. It's the wife or the woman of the house that really makes the final decision. We find a lot of our customers doing that.
Isn't that different, no? I mean, you'd think that construction is really like a man's world, but I think Camille has mentioned something about the women and how she's able to get them to do other things in, you know, what you were saying about in construction?
Oh, well, yeah, we were talking in the back about the many unconventional roles that women have played. And I did mention that while it is not a leadership position, I told the group that actually our company has started to hire women as construction workers, right? And traditionally that is not a role for women, but we found that in construction, especially particularly in fit-outs, women are very effective because they are very meticulous and detail-oriented, And in fit outs where you need to be good, we found that women are very effective.
Yeah, and it's not just like, I think it takes a woman leader to also see that. And I know Jeannie knows some statistics that women all over the world are the
I think
consumers.
when we look at internationally, half of the population of the world are women. And the work that it was with the leaders is basically how can we really empower them. And in the field of retail, especially with the enterprises we have, which is EcoStore and Great Women, the focus has always been the fact that the supply chain is mostly women. And so and the purchasing power of women is basically the core power that is there. You know? Most of them are moms who buy for their children, their wives who buy for their homes. So often single people also, women, are by themselves wanting good lives. So I think the purchasing power of women is a very strong indicative that we should be able to create more products that are women driven or for women, as well as to be able to look downward in the supply chain, that the more women we can actually bring into the retail space, production and consumption patterns change. And it's been seen that it's a positive change. It's not just just because women will buy, they buy anything. No, they actually buy with a purpose. That's what we've seen. And it's important that we be able to give that value to them as consumers and as producers. And I think we as retailers, we create a space for them.
Good. And can you imagine all the different businesses that these women leaders have put up, which really run the gamut of from retail to construction, from what you use every day or lifestyle products. And I also want to comment that, the car company Renault, they actually hired women engineers so that Renault is more ergonomically fit for women, and that drove up their sales because the women can actually lift the hoods and everything. And this is something that I think before it was not given much attention. But not just women consumers and women leaders, but Sheryl was saying something about women in boards.
Well, I started my company as a manufacturer before we went into retail, and then franchising as our model of expansion. And because it's a new industry to begin with, we had a market research and we found out that 72% of our customers are women aged 24 to 48 years old. And it speaks a lot because we were pushing more on the wellness, relaxation products rather than beauty. So these are really stressed out, but women who have purchasing power but doesn't have time. So we focus on pushing the products to them. But also, like what Jeannie shared, statistically, it will be natural that retail, also in the Philippines, 67% are female dominated. The stakeholders inside, especially on the operational part of retail.
And I think that's why boards have to have a diversity.
Yeah, pinupush talaga ni Jean. But sadly, though this is not small, it's really of significance. But then when you take a look at the boards and the Mancom and the leaders, majority are still very few women who take up the leadership. Yeah.
Okay, so I think with what we see in the audience, I think there's a pretty good mix of men and women. Now, why is it important? Why are we talking about women leadership when in the Philippines they say it's really not a problem? Do you believe that, Nikki? I mean, in the Philippines, you can be a woman and talk your way into deals and all that.
I believe that in the Philippines, although we have women may have more opportunity to have a voice because basically we tend to be more matriarchal society. So it's fortunate that the population support and respect women, but there will always be challenges along with it, and with that we need to meet up to the expectations because at the end of the day it's still a double-standard society. So it's very important that they're empowered through education as well as given that it's not anymore about gender, but it's more about the skill. So the more responsibilities that are given to them, the more that they need to prove themselves through the skills that they have acquired along the way. And also, since a lot of women in the Philippines are exposed to provide support to their families, which is an advantage because it allows them to be more attuned to the needs in the retail industry. For example, close to their customers, to the pulse, and that allows decision-making process as well.
Okay, so if any one of you wants to like jump into the conversation, just feel free to do so. But let's go back to Wilcon. I mean, I know that you were sort of like trained by your father, correct, Lorraine?
Yes. So I've been in the company for 18 years, and coming into this panel, actually thinking about being a woman in leadership, I was actually trained by my father, and it was easy because I was trained into it. So when I first came in, it was like it's tiles, it's hardware, it's not very female centric. But as I grew into the company, I realized that we have our managers here. We have a nice mix of male and females in our organization, our managers and our board, our MANCOM, our HR, our COO, the president of PRA is a strong woman leader. So we have a lot of very strong women, right guys? Hi. So we have a lot of strong women, but also strong men. So it's really about merit for us, and we're really glad. We're really grateful that we have these strong women leaders, and that our environment is there to nurture and build them up. And it's a great culture for us, and I'm really proud of that with what my dad built up, and hopefully we're also continuing.
Wow, that's great. And really, it's also not the usual for some women might say, but Dad, I want to put up a spa and not a Home Depot, you know. Cheryl, you were saying that you had some problems being a woman owner. Was it about getting a space in the mall? No, I'm joking. But what are the usual problems? Controversial, yun kasi nandito silang lahat. So, what kind of problems did you experience in growing your business as a woman?
Well, actually, I'd like to share that Wilcon is really inspirational. As we were talking before, that it's also fresh to know that it wasn't a problem for Lorraine to assert woman leadership in Wilcon, because I think the founder already has that insight of diversity within the organization. So it's not hard. But for micro and small companies in the Philippines, as you go through up the ladder, it's very challenging. Because people, society in general tends to be surprised if you achieve, if you go through the ladder and be successful in
As a mother, even.
and also juggling your schedule. People get so worried that you might not have time for your family, where in fact you are also balancing that with flying colors. But of course, more on the highlights are more on the work that you do. And it's also very encouraging to have women models. I have my mentors here that are also very supportive. Women helping women that, I was able to manage this in this way. This might work for you, this might not work for you. So I think that speaks a lot on how, that what Nikki was saying about mentorship.
So mentorship is important, but another important part of the equation is also the partner. I think a lot of partners, spouses, or just regular partners, I think figure a lot in the success of a woman leader, because I know some friends whose husbands have decided to take the role as husbands, and they don't see anything wrong with it, because if the woman gets the break, then man can stay. In fact, we were talking about Sweden, where I think the parents are given 180 days each with a child to ensure that the whole year the child has a parent with him or her, and that the husband takes an equally important role in the child rearing for the first year.
Can I just add to that? In that, well, we look at the world as equal with gender, right? We just want to be able to shine a different perspective, a different lens, no? And on the space of the smaller enterprises, as compared, for example, to a bigger brand like a Wilcon that is a public company, when you look at the smaller entrepreneurs and the social entrepreneurs, and what we've experienced through EcoStore and through Great Women, is that at the get-go, a year into the operations of EcoStore, we realized that it was really women-driven. And we were 3 women who, amongst ourselves, mentored each other, amongst ourselves, challenged each other. So there was a whole women line downstream in our production and supply chain, and a whole women consumer-directed upstream, when it was almost close to 90%, I think, or 86%, that were women purchasing our products. So this is what gave birth to the second brand, which is Great Women. So in the space we are in, the speak of gender, for it to be very much equal, either in the space of business or in the space of economic empowerment, became a paramount speak. While we state that we must make everything equal with men and women for diversity, but it's just that in the work we do and in businesses we run, we want to make sure that we shine a specific lens on gender. Because it's really, at the end, you know, if you were in a normal company and if you were not gender sensitive to the women, for example, you'd freak out that the woman's pregnant again, right? Because you have all
So the
these issues, the sensitivities
to women's issues.
That's right.
Okay, before I read that question with my farsightedness, you better take a look at it, ladies. But before I say that, I think it's really about not empowering the women or empowering the men, but it's really about balance or diversity. Because men bring different ideas to the table, women bring different ideas to the table. So I'm sure you, Camille, you and your dad would sometimes discuss and argue, because a man's brain is wired differently from a woman's brain. And it's really the complementing qualities that we can see spell success for a lot of companies in the world, global companies. Now there's a question there that says, other than yourself, what is the percentage of women leaders in your organization? And how do you promote and support women empowerment in your company? Who wants to take that? Nikki, want to take it?
As I said, that since we're in the beauty industry, so basically it's very obvious that it's predominantly women. However, we believe in diversity, so we do welcome and very much appreciate the presence of the male and even the third
But I
sex.
have a question, Nikki. Is it only women who are concerned about the anti-aging products? What about men?
Actually, with our business model, it's not just about making people beautiful, but we're doing beauty as a platform, because it is very important that we make people feel confident and empowered by feeling confident.
Man or woman?
Man or woman, young or old, and it's all about preventive at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you look ugly, that's why you need to look good. It's reinforcing, appreciating what you really have, and shine out there.
So men can also be your customers
Actually,
and
it's a
consumers?
very growing market at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure all of your retailers know that the men's cosmetics, men's anti-aging, and men's beauty line is one of the biggest growing sectors of the market, right? Now, how about you, Camille, other than yourself?
Well, actually, in our organization, whether it is in All Valley or where I came from, which is Vistaland, I never had a problem about diversity, because actually I think in our management positions and even in our board, there's even more women than men. And I think building on what Lorraine said earlier, because in our organization, people are evaluated not by gender, but by merit and capabilities and what they've accomplished. And in our organization, we're very lucky to have a lot of competent women who have taken on leadership roles. And so the nice thing about that is there's kind of like a matriarchal influence in the organization where you have perspectives of mothers and women that are heard and are trickled down. We're very family-centered, like we encourage having families and as a woman leader in our company, growing up, I had a lot of good examples in our executives. I would see how they managed their family life and their work life, which is very, very intense, and how they put everything together, how they managed their people. So I think, yes, it is very important to have diversity. It's very important to have both the perspective of men and women in leadership to move forward.
And not only leadership, but the business that we are all in is retail. And retail, I mean, even if everybody should know that the woman actually wields and everybody's nodding. The woman makes a decision, and I think Lorraine has something to share. You said that customers tell you that it's actually you were saying this nice anecdote.
Yeah, yesterday I think I was talking to someone and he was saying that I asked, so who was the ultimate decision maker when they went to our store, and it was a man I was talking to, and I asked, was it your wife? And he said, yes, but I was the one who decided which credit card to give. But basically everything else was my wife. I don't know if he's here. So it's really a testament to when we talk to our customers, a lot of the decisions are made by the women, what to buy, what color, what your bathroom will look like. So it's really something very powerful, especially when we see in our retail stores.
You said even the towels.
Even syempre, the towels have to match the tiles, right?
Oh, correct. That's right. So, Chef, what do you think is the biggest challenge that a woman leader faces?
Well, that road to excellence actually is it's a challenge both to men and women. But we were just chatting back to about happy wife. Yeah, happy wife, happy life. But I think there's also a shift on educating or empowering not just women, but empowering more men to recognize the fact that there's also a lot of opportunities and potential for women to shine. One time there was a question asked to me, how do you manage to juggle all the activities and the life work integration? And I told oh nga, no? But probably because there's no drama at home. Your partner just accepts it like it is, and so there's no barrier or bottleneck on explaining that I can assert things so much because I'm a woman. So there's already that accepted norm, and I think more men should be empowered to think that way.
I think all you have to do is explain to the man that
Exactly.
it's putting your best talents where they lie. So the men have their talents as well in other things. Like men can read maps, and women, that both why men don't listen and why women cannot read maps. So there's something to learn there, that our brains are wired differently, and that's why diversity is the key. It's not really about make everybody a leader in retail, a woman. It's not that. So I want to ask, and I think Jeannie may be a good respondent. What are you doing to ensure that you continue to grow and develop as a woman leader in retail for yourself and then developing others? Miss Universe, ma'am. Miss Universe.
Okay, Miss Dress, you're the one asking. Okay, it's also because we work in the field of women empowerment at the core of the work we do, and this is both in our businesses and our advocacy, and it's very much ingrained in the core of our businesses. So what is it that we must do as women leaders to continue the empowerment direction? First is that we must speak in spaces like this so that the men understand where we're coming from. Number one, in the workspaces where we're in, we realize that if you really look at the whole supply chain all the way out there, there is always a woman's space. Like even when you do product development and how you're going to bring it out, how you're going to launch it, how you're going to talk about it, all of this speak, there's always a woman angle. So as women leaders, that's I think where we should also be able to speak from. Aside from all the other side, excellence, the work that we do, the fantastic network that we have as women, to be able to bring this into economic, right? I mean, in retail, your market is key. If your market is networked around women and you use this network properly, it's pretty much a solid one, right? And the men should be able to get into this room because it's
And I think
strong.
men are recognizing that really 80% of purchase decisions are made by women. Hands down na yan, whether it's Wilcon or an all-day convenience store, it's hands down. The women will choose your toothbrush, your toothpaste, the shampoo, etc. Now we have another text-in question. The Philippine family unit is typically traditional and conservative. Wow, talaga. How can a woman raised in such a patriarchal family, not society, get over these hurdles to establish herself without leaving behind the customs and traditions she was raised in?
It's interesting.
Interesting kasi sabi lang natin matriarchal, di ba? Baka kaya nga sinasabi ko hindi society, baka in that particular family, yung hindi yan trabaho ng babae. Is that what we mean? Maybe? That there are stereotype roles, and how do we get out of those stereotypes? Anybody? Yeah.
Yeah, because I got that question from a young woman who was very, career driven, and then she's planning to have a family in 2 years' time, and she approached me in one of the seminars and asked me, am I going to quit? Am I going to give up my dreams on having a name for herself? And I told her, what is she going to do? And I told her the first thing you have to do is to convince your family. And so there's a shift already now. It's no longer about educating the women to assert, women empowerment. There's also a clamor for activities that engages men to accept that and to recognize that. Actually, for PCCI, for example, we have activities for the women community that the attendees are not women, but more of the male CEOs, to accept that diversity and the uniqueness and that capabilities or the potential that women leadership can take in.
Anybody else?
To answer that, because I was born into a family that raised me to be a good wife. You know what I mean? And that's it. Which, of course, what did I do? I rebelled. So I'm not letting the women out there to rebel. I'm just saying that in the structure of the society, it's a given. I mean, a lot, especially from, I think, the generation. I don't want to age myself here, but where we're coming from right now is it's really a major shift that we should be able to help push, men including, right? Because we're not in that old space anymore. And the world is so global, it's homogeneous, the voice of the woman is as strong, and we should be able to help our younger women come to this space. And I constantly tell this when we have talks internationally with women groups, with men groups, with all, is that we must be able to push this other side because there's an economic angle to it there. I mean, our country's poor. Our country's poor when you look at it as a third world. And half of the population are women. So on a GDP push, if we wanted to push this gender issue, it's really economic. So the poverty issue is also a woman's issue. The face of poverty is a woman farmer, poor woman farmer. So if we cannot see this in our own family, in our own societies, and help who we can close by, I think we're going to be missing a whole lot, which is why the traditional family unit must look to excellence, to balance, to gender equality as a real push, and the world today is going to push that way anyway.
I think the Philippines has been ranking highest in competitiveness. Guess where? Gender gap. Diyan lang tayo top 10.
Only Asia.
We used to be number 7. Now we're down to number 10 only because other countries sped ahead, but not because we lack maintenance, but or endurance, but we're still top 10 in competitiveness in gender gap. That means that, you know, whether it's John or Jane, we pay the same. I hope that's true for all the people in retail. Now, I will have to go into the Miss Universe question in a while, but there is another text in question. I think we're very active and alive on text. For Camille and Lorraine, as daughters of the original owner, you're leading up. Ayan, okay. What do you think are the significant changes, developments you did, which you can be proud of as women? On Miss Universe, no, it's just for Camille and you, because I have the last 10 minutes for the Miss Universe. So, did you introduce any changes, like, did you consciously hire more women managers? Or was it just because of merit, you said? What did you do that your father didn't do?
For our company, Wilcon, I feel very fortunate, very blessed, because when I came in the business, the way our structure or the way our culture was built was really more on merit. So if you're a woman or a man, it was really what you perform that got you the position or where where you are. And we have a lot of senior managers. We have a lot of very the ones who started came with the business. They're on top, and they're women. Not because they're women, but rather because they performed and they were able to give what the organization needed. As to significant changes, I don't think I really made a significant change in that sense because it's already there. And I mean, I have regular dialogues with our HR, and I know that our mindset when we open a store, we need to have balance. We need to have a balance of talent. It can't be all women, it can't be all men. It has to have a balance, and that's something that I want to keep continuing. I want to keep doing and have equal opportunities for both men and women wherever we open. Where we opened just in Zamboanga today, actually.
Free plug, Zamboanga, welcome. Okay, Camille, did you introduce any change that your dad said, yeah, why not?
I'm actually, I think I'm on the same boat as Lorraine in that I was very blessed also to be in an organization where gender is not an issue, but merit. I mean, you accomplish or you rise through the ranks because of what you have accomplished and your competence. And actually, I agree a lot with the many things that my father instituted. He's developed a very open organization, a very inclusive organization, man, woman, and a very innovative one at that. So I've learned a lot from him. So I don't think I've instituted great change, especially regarding gender equality, because there is a lot of that. But I will say that, like what we were discussing earlier, I do give a different perspective that sometimes, I mean from a feminine viewpoint, that sometimes my father can overlook. But it's not related so much to being a woman, but it could also be a younger perspective, more worldly perspective. So it's not just limited to gender. And as for the changes right now, I kind of agree with the development that he's been making. So I'm just proud to be part of that organization.
Thank you. Okay, not to Miss Universe, but what advice would you give someone going into a leadership position for the first time? So we're gonna go this way.
Some advice: have the humility to know you don't know everything. Always want to learn. Learning doesn't stop when school stops. And have fun.
That's good. Sure.
I think for me, do not be afraid to shine. And focus on your strengths rather than weaknesses as a woman. and seek mentorship. That for me, really pushed a lot. I have to make a shout out to my mentor here, Miss Bing, because she taught me also how to, yes, she taught me how to, at the end of the day, to realize that at the end of the day, gender doesn't really doesn't really count. It's success and excellence really push you forward.
But I think we're also saying that because we're all up here. That's why we're saying gender doesn't count or it's by merit. But you can imagine
When you're on top na.
when you're on
Yeah.
top
But
na.
when you're through the
Like sabi mo,
ladder,
you were very humble to say, I'm not big, I start, you have that.
yes. But when you were going through the ladder, a lot of women entrepreneurs and women leaders tend to dim their light, and they don't want to shock people that I'm succeeding, I'm getting that apple for myself. So a lot of people are afraid to shine. That's why it's the first thing to accept that it's expected also of you to get your most potential. But when you're on top, what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, when excellence doesn't really, make does not make gender so an issue.
Okay, Nikki?
I believe that we should always identify what our true passion is, and then from there, it will continue to inspire us to face any challenges. To be a good leader, you have to have an attitude of humility to learn, and also it would be an advantage if you are able to mix with the right kind of people in order to help you go to where you want to go. Last but not least, be open to opportunity because learning is a lifelong journey.
Wow, and we're talking to these ladies who are always mentioning mentors. And I believe mentoring is not a one-off thing, diba? Mentoring, you have to keep seeing your mentor all the time, right, Ms. Bing? So, diba? They should see your
Kaya nga kami
progress.
nag-prepare because our mentor is moderating also.
Ganyan. Okay. Jeannie?
I think you have to step into leadership because you have to break so many. I come from my own perspective. You have to break so many on your own fears, and I think that's my journey. So breaking my own fears and my inability to believe that I could do it until you finally take it on and step on it and say, I'm going to do this. And in so doing, when you realize the playing field like an athlete is so big, I realize for women, it's really the power of two. When you find another woman who's as strong as you will move things. So men, when two women come, be careful. Because they'll bring you along and you're going to have to help the changes. So that's where I think it's going
But
to
Jeannie,
come from.
it's not like
Or leadership.
I want to plug great women. But
Right.
I know that you're exposed to a lot of women who are not yet on top.
Yes.
But-
And this is why I say that the center of everything we do is women's empowerment. Is because you realize they cannot lead alone. And I'll come and say for my story, I don't think I can lead alone. But because of the fantastic strong women that we work with on a daily basis, you feel that those who feel they're weaker latch on to those who are stronger. The stronger don't let go. And we carry up that whole value chain. No? So the mentorship happens in the business side and in the personality side. So there's interchange that happens when it comes to women.
But
Can
can
it be just business?
you can mention to them like how you have mentored this
Oh, yeah.
indigenous.
Indigenous women, like
You guys.
we just launched when we did a Manila Kaba of Christian Louboutin. No? That's a perfect example of women helping women from the bottom of the pyramid down all the way to the international market, bringing their products there. It's economic empowerment. And I was just telling Cheryl that her embroiderer from Lumban, who was part of us, she introduced to us, we brought her along, fix your house. That's empowerment. And she's putting together a whole group of women empowerment, and they're all getting a little bit more sustainable, like money, And this is where we want to bring it. Whether you're a retailer, whether you're a leader, whether you head an organization or a company, at the end of it, let's put the gender lens because it is half of our economic direction in the country. That's what's
And I think all
important.
the retailers here can probably look at their supply chain and see how many women are being empowered, because it's really a solution to a lot of social issues, domestic violence, etc., petty crimes, and really empowering women from down going up is really one of the best economic solutions that we can probably think of.
Before you continue, the shadow side of women, no? the Philippines is very high when it comes to sexually exploited women. We don't want to talk about it, but we need to look at this because even at the end, that is the other side.
It's the elephant in the room that nobody wants to look at, but actually all of us here in this room are actually in a position to help solve these issues, and I think PRA can very well do something about that. And finally, from our millennial, right? From our millennial, how will you train people who are young, because the others are over 25. So, as a millennial, how do you see yourself empowering other women into leadership positions?
No, I think, first of all, I think you have to erase these fears and preconceived notions that you can't do it. You can't do it because you're a woman, you can't do it because you have a family, you can't do it because you're young, or you're not educated enough. All those things are untrue. So the first step is really to acknowledge that. And after that, I believe that you can become a leader and you can become successful through nothing else but through hard work. So if you want to be anyone in a leadership position, you really have to work for it and you have to pay your dues. It doesn't come easy. And don't be deterred by failures, because in fact, failures and mistakes are the greatest lessons or the best teachers. And what you do have to do is recognize that and use that to move forward and achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve.
Very good. On that note, I think we're doing very good time, ladies. Congratulations to our panelists. I mean, they could win this universe anytime. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you for having us in this panel. I think no other last words, no?
Thank you very much. We would like to request our panelists to please remain seated. We now request the following officers to please join us here on stage to present a plaque of appreciation. Let's have Ms. Maria Alegria Limpoco, PRA Vice Chairman and President of Central Books, and Ms. Rose Ong, PRA President and SAVP COO of Wilcon Depot. And we are glad to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, that these esteemed ladies are both recipients of the Women's Entrepreneurial International Challenge Award. Congratulations. We now present our plaques of appreciation to our panelists, beginning with Ms. Lorraine Belo Cincochan, the President and CEO of Wilcon Depot. Of course, our panelists will be receiving gift bags from the Primer Group of Companies and the PRA Coffee Table book, Lives, Legends, and Legacies. Thank you very much. Now let's have Michelle Quintana, CEO of Arispa.